Hi all, it's 23rd September 2021 today. I'm going to touch on Roku, the company that pioneers streaming services. Well, before I start, appreciate a like and thumbs up if you like this video. To subscribe to the channel too, because it will really help me a lot due to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you a lot. So what is Roku? Roku explains that they connect users to the streaming content that they love. So there's Netflix, there's BBC, NBC, etc. on the Roku platform. So they provide the content publishers to build and monetize their large audiences. At the same time, they allow advertisers to do a direct to consumer marketing, so they know exactly who they're marketing to and leveraging on Roku platform. Roku also had Roku TV, Roku players, the Roku sticks to gain access to their system. Effectively, Roku allows the monetizing of its platform through growing active accounts, and that's where the real money is. Over the last few years, when Roku IPO at 2017 at the IPO price of 14 USD, the current price of $324 is fantastic. It's 23x of the IPO price. Imagine you just invested in Roku back in 2017, the kind of return that it had, and current market cap is around 43 billion. Like what I mentioned earlier, Roku generates platform revenue through advertising, content distribution. Content distribution being that if people subscribe through the platform to Netflix or other content providers, they actually pay a fee to Roku. At the same time, there's also audience development and building services that Roku provided. The player revenue being that of selling Roku TV, Roku stick, and Roku audio systems. Effectively, what's their Roku TV? It's been built specially as a TV so that you have a very unique user experience, and yet at the same time a hassle-free experience when you watch streaming content. Isn't it fantastic? I mean, every one of us watch movies, watch programs, and at one system, one platform, you're able to gain access to so many content. What do? You power your Roku device, you connect to the Roku device to the internet, and you just create a Roku account, and that's where you use. And Roku has free channels, so you do not really have to actually subscribe to Netflix or pay for a movie if you don't want. There's also a Roku channel where they provide free content as well. And their Roku streaming players start as low at the price of $29. So this is what I mentioned here: Roku streaming players, Roku TV, and Roku audio. But what are tracks? Well, rather than just purely talking a rosy picture of a Roku, we have to bear in mind what are the threats. Is whether does Roku have the negotiating power to negotiate for a good revenue split with the content providers like Netflix, BBC, NBC, etc. And once, as long as their negotiating power is weak, then the kind of revenue or thing there may be getting lower and lower. So we have to watch out for that. And Amazon is also having this competing product, Amazon Fire TV, Amazon Fire Stick. We have to watch out for this kind of track. These are the key financials, and I draw your attention to the active accounts. You see over the 2020, active accounts grow from 43 million all the way to 55 million. Not bad in terms of growing 20% year on year. And well, and growing account of 1.5 million um, from the last quarter. And streaming hours actually came slightly down in the recent quarter. Maybe that explains for the weakness in share price in recent days, but that I will touch on later. So the platform revenue is actually growing over the entire period, resulting in a total net revenue of 645 million in Q2. So if you analyze it, that's work out to around 2.5, 2.6 billion. Something to highlight is the player gross profit, which actually come down, being in the negative territory, locking in a minus 5.9% gross margin. Why is this the case? Component cost goes up. You look at all the global news, they're always talking about supply constraint. So you have to watch out for this. The good thing was it has been profitable since Q3 2020, locking in 12 million all the way to around 69 million. Naturally, when you notice when I mentioned that the streaming hours came down, there's a slight drop in income from operations. So we have to watch out for this, because ultimately how the whole climate evolve, if the streaming hours can lock out, there's more active accounts, then Roku has a very good story to invest in. If you are having a negative view about the streaming climate, then well, it may not be the case. At the end of the day, we have to make a call on this point. So this is a price chart of Roku. It went up to as high as 490 and it hit the price twice, but coming down to recent days of 324, and in the July low it actually hit 272, a period that's slightly closer to the earnings period. And recent days have picked up slightly, but the volume has been declining at a narrowing range within this period. So we really have to watch out. Near term wise, I don't think there's any strong catalyst to push Roku share price to go very high up. Well, you're saying Cathy Woods buy Roku, maybe you can push up. Well, I'm not bending on this point. We need a strong market, a strong environment in terms of streaming, or strong earnings to move the share price up. Analyst price target is around 310 to 650 US dollar. As always, garbage in, garbage out in terms of financial models. You throw wrong assumptions in, the price target will be very different. So to me, most important is I'm not going to rush into this Roku stock. I'll wait and wait for price signals to show that, well, there may be indication of strong results coming out before I jump in to take a position in Roku. Because frankly speaking, Roku is an interesting stock, but current price may not be that strong, so I would rather adopt a wait and see attitude. Also, the last 1 year, Roku have been issuing equity. You look at what I circled out. So we also have bear in mind that, well, will there be more dilution to the share price because of the fact there's more and more outstanding share? You have to think on that. The good point is having a very strong cash position of $2 billion, and liability is way lower than that. So there's no cash crunch or cash worries in the near period. Comparing to Netflix, well, Netflix is a lot bigger. So in terms of 1 and 2 years, even though Netflix underperformed in terms of price performance, Netflix is relatively stable in terms of price. So you see, in a 2 years period, Roku have a significant jump up to 300% and come back down to 200%. It's still outperforming Netflix, but the price volatility can make a win or lose situation, because if you pick up at the wrong price point, that's worrying. For me, you actually see what I actually hoping to look at, that is, what kind of price will I go for? Well, I would rather wait for 272. That's a stronger price support level, or even 157, provided the market situation provides. As always, this should not be construed as any investment or trading advice. Thank you.